Eva. You ready? Good. I'm good to go? Well, yeah, we'll leave it where it is right now. Welcome to the board meeting tonight. A motion to resume public session. Ms. Unson and Ms. Keyes. All in favor? The vote is unanimous. We're in the session. Thank you very much. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Daly, any agenda changes this evening?
Yes, Mr. Potensky, we have personnel actions, meeting minutes from May 4th, 2021, and a donation.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to board president comments. Something's been bothering me today because I read a New York Times article. I just wanted to share it with you, everybody. This is Jeff's personal opinion. The mic is on. So this is an article about the CDC reporting about the transmission rates of outdoor occurrences with masks. And they reported that CDC was reporting less than 10% transmission rates. And the New York Times article was reflecting upon that and saying that the actual rate was below 1% and might be below 0.1%. Keeping this real and apolitical, right? The article basically talks to the fact that saying that less than 10% transmission rate is like saying that sharks attack fewer than 20,000 swimmers a year, while the actual worldwide number is about 150. Basically, both are true, but ultimately the statement is deceiving. That kind of struck me because of where we are. I think we have a societal lack of trust, and things like this, well, they explained it as wanting to be on the conservative side, and then they didn't have the science to back up the data yet, and that they wanted to make a judgment call about this. I found it strange in that I understand the desire to want to make a judgment call, but what we need as the public is the truth as it relates to science, and when people don't know, say they don't know. Talking about making a judgment call is kind of like me making a judgment call on whether my child is going to go out on the first date when she's 15 or 16. We aren't children, and we expect facts, and we expect to have trust in things like this. I understand the desire to be conservative, but don't report it as a fact. Report it as, we're making a judgment call. Be accurate and correct, and that's going to foster some trust, because my fear is that as we don't have trust, if things take a turn for the worse, this is going to kill people because we're not going to trust. And then that's when it goes south. That's my comment for this evening. I just wanted to share. Thank you. Moving on to points of interest. Any points of interest? Before I move on, reflecting back on board president comments, I wanted to just share with the board. If you feel that you want to give feedback, please do. I don't want to intimate that my comment was anything that you supported or didn't support, so please let me know if you want to say anything. Okay, thank you. Reports of meetings. Mr. Moscato, thank you.
We had was supposed to be our last meeting for the Monroe County Legislative Committee, but we've decided to add a meeting so we can meet with our local Board of Regents representatives. There are some issues they brought up. We met with them actually in the fall. They want to follow up on it. So if there's any issues you want us to bring up to the Board of Regents, please let me know. A couple of them have to do with, again, not only restarting school, but also what's going to continue afterwards. You know, for many people, the idea of remote learning now has become somewhat of a reality, and some students do well, not everybody, obviously. So, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Quiet.
This is the board's meeting that happens in public. You are here as a guest to observe, not participate.
Right. He said something. I said, okay, that's all. You did something first, that's all.
Okay? Just,
So we're meeting with the Board of Regents people on June 9th. We also have meetings scheduled with representatives from Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand's office, and we're going to bring up some issues with them concerning federal support. We know we appreciate the money that has been sent, but there are other things that we need to discuss with them. One of them, for example, are for-profit charter schools. There's been discussion about that as well. So we have a list of things for them as well. So we'll be reporting on those probably after the first meeting in June, we hope. Okay. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moscato. Any other reports of meetings? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on. We're moving on to visitor comments. We have 2 visitor comments this evening. The Gage-Chile Central School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium and microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with the laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comment if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, repetitive, or not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. First tonight, Sarah Leisman. Good evening.
January 21st, 2020, the first confirmed case of the novel coronavirus was identified on American soil. 476 days have passed since that initial report, and many things have been learned along the way. When we were first struck with this nightmare, we locked everything down. We feared the unknown. As we've navigated our way through this new path, we've made many mistakes. We've also had great accomplishments, effective treatments, vaccines available to nearly everyone, and a better general understanding of the virus's effects. Schools decided that a hybrid model of education would be implemented for the children who wanted to receive in education. 2 days of in-person instruction and 3 days remote, alone at home with a computer, because me and my husband have to work full time. It's impossible to teach the same amount of material in such a short amount of time, and many subjects aren't even being addressed. If any of you have been fortunate enough to work from home, you can attest to the fact that it also forgotten how difficult it is to be 13, to be in middle school, to deal with peers, deal with everything that teenagers have to deal with. I'm not going to punish my child for things that are not his fault. How can he be expected to do things that most adults can't do? Parents are standing up to protect their children from these draconian restrictions and reminding school boards that they work for the taxpayers. Initial guidelines have been reevaluated and determined not to be necessary. Our children are still being subjected to restrictions that no one else in society has to follow. My son eats his lunch at a table meant for 8, separated by plexiglass from the other 2 students. Restaurants don't impose such restrictions. I wonder if the teachers are forced to sit behind plexiglass when they eat their lunch. We need to eliminate these mask mandates. My son went from an honorable student at the beginning of the year to a failing student, potentially requiring summer school. His mental, social, and emotional health has deteriorated, and he doesn't care about his grades. School has become a prison to him. He has no opportunities to interact with his peers. He doesn't care. There's just endless rules and punishments. Children are punished for their masks slipping down while adults don't wear them properly all the time.
You're welcome.
We surveyed the parents in March, and more than 2,700 families said that they wanted their children in school full time. Our children had a glimmer of hope that they would be able to return for the last quarter, but apparently you'd rather listen to bureaucrats than us. We want and need schools to be open fully 5 days a week without a mask mandate. If you're not willing to do this for us, we will elect new board members. We must stop instilling fear in our children and allow them to be children once again.
Thank you. Tara Priotti.
My name is Kara Pederotti. I live at 6 Charlie Drive. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. One will change child I advocate forcefully and publicly to return our students to school. My youngest is a student at Gage Child High School. At least she used to be. Now she's mostly at home, teaching herself. Her attendance is not taken on remote days. Some days and some classes offer instruction, some do not. Since this is our youngest child in the district, that we've had in the district, we know what an excellent Gage child education looks like. And this, my friends, is not it. Let me share with you some of my experience so far this year. First Gage child, I told you that my kids cannot attend school full time because of New York State. I do know that in December, the governor said schools should open full time. Yet the schools did not because they claimed that the state did not provide guidelines for them to do so. So I called my state reps, even this week I did. They claim, it's actually interesting, they don't even know that our schools are closed. One of them told me that Irondequoit was open. It's very interesting. So actually every single one of them said they didn't really know what was going on and they have no idea why Gage Child is not open. The county doesn't even know why anyone's even asking them because they claim to have no role. Engaged Child claims to be a victim, but really the only victim here is our children because it's just passing buck. It's all that's been done. I spent my Mother's Day this year with my 15-year-old telling me how little faith she has in her future. Fun Mother's Day for me. She's lost so much, she's not coping well with her life being taken away from her. And no one at Gage Child cares. I've spoken to her school counselor. Nothing's done. Spoken to Mrs. Stem. Nothing's done. Spoke to Dr. Irving. Nothing's done. And maybe it's that they don't care. Maybe it's just that my child's not unique. She's not the only one suffering. It's kind of hard to do that, right? All right. So we all know that there are many schools in New York State open. In New York State open 5 days a week. In fact, Gage Child, if Gage Child had the will to get our students back to school, they would have done so. The difference between those other districts and our own is not cases or spaces. It's advocacy and leadership. I respectfully education, to promise our community, and more importantly, our students, that you will be open 5 days a week, in person, in September. If you cannot make that assurance to our community and to our children, so desperately need your leadership, I respectfully ask that you step down and resign from your position and make way for leaders who will do that for our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to capital project updates.
Good evening. 1.5, high school auditorium, pressing on nicely. Work completed in April in the old auditorium. Demolition is complete. Out in the new auditorium. Everything but the elevated slabs are forward. All your flat concrete. The only thing left for out there is the raised seating, or called the stadium seating, which is about half the seating capacity. The other half is the lower, and that's already forward. Underground piping is all complete within the building, and all 3 stair towers are complete, forward, and usable. Projected work for May, and then the masons are laying brick, and they're going to keep laying brick through water. Work is ongoing. Roofers are working on the edge metal. Sled framing and drywall is underway. If you walk down your main lobby, the ceiling is starting to take shape, and that's really got a nice look to it. Frame of the elevated seating is underway. The scaffolding is being built for start working on the ceiling. If you look right there at the top picture, that's the guys are standing down low. That's your main entry in the flat part, and that's the elevated part that's starting to be formed. Concrete looks a little rough right there. Trust me, it's not. It was actually poured about 2 hours ago. The pictures taken and hold the book back together. The next set of pictures is that one there is some of the blue. This starting on the outside. That's from like over by 490 way looking back. And then the picture right below that. That would be up on your seating. If you look at the right-hand side, see the protrusion of them walls. Your side walls are going to have them angles like that to help absorb sound. So that's really starting to take shape in there. That's all a nice wood cover. 1.5 is well under budget and on time. So
When you're looking at the auditorium from the Buffalo Road line, there's a nice blue stripe.
Yep.
Is that going to be
yes, so anywhere there's not brick, it should
part of the look like?
yep.
we will, we'll talk to Superintendent Daly and schedule something. Thank you. Moving on to discussion items. Ad hoc update.
Over near my microphone. So ad hoc met and we went through some finalized updates to the handbook. So that way we'll have the final draft out
The
of that
infamous
updated
handbook.
current language and current terms.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you very much. Moving on to finance and facility update. Dr. Ball? Good evening.
Okay, so the Finance Facility Audit Committee met on April 19th, and we talked about the internal audit. Erica Proctor from the Bonadio Group explained the internal audit process, as well as reviewed results of the audit, which the audit is on the agenda for tonight, approval of that. She noted that the payroll and attendance process was the area of focus, and she noted that there were no findings in the internal audit report. Additionally, we reviewed the federal funds procedure manual. It has been finalized, and it's a requirement as part of the New York State Education Department IDEA review. In the facility area, we talked about the capital project, and we talked about next steps, indicating that there were some funds still remaining in the project, and that we're going to be able to pull in some items that were previously in limbo. In addition, we talked about future project planning, noting that when thinking about future projects, it's our philosophy that we'll have zero impact on the tax levy, and that the future project scope and timeline would be discussed at the board meeting, which we already did that. The interim director of facilities updated the group on the interim director of facilities, who's going to assist in the transition to a new director of facilities. We also gave a hiring update and talked about the process of hiring a new director of facilities. In the finance area, we reviewed the purchasing manual and the process for completing that purchasing manual. We also talked about CARES Act funding, noting that the ESSER and GEAR funds have been officially approved, which is great news. We talked about GASB 84, which is a new reporting requirement, noting that trust and agency will now be distributed under their respective funds versus accumulating in the trust and agency fund during the fiscal year. And we also reviewed COVID-19 FEMA reimbursement, noting that the application for FEMA has now been extended to reopening costs. And then we adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Any questions?
No. Questions? Thank you very much. Moving on to policy committee update.
Okay, yeah.
Frank?
The policy committee reviewed quite a few policies that are being revised. Some of them are being totally rewritten as well, so they're on the agenda for approval. If you didn't get a chance to look at some of them, please do. They each contain a clean one and then a red line one. I tend to look at the red line one to know where I'm going from. So that would be something we'll probably do later. Okay? If you have any questions about any of the policies, get a chance to look at them and let us know.
Okay. Thank you very much, Frank. Moving on to consensus items. Motion to approve the consensus agenda. Motion, please. Ms. Unson and Ms. Coffey. Questions or comments? All in favor? Oh, excuse me, Frank has a comment?
No.
Nope. Okay. So, Ms. Kais, could you put on your mic?
It's okay.
The donation from a former teacher for the scholarship for Service Club and Service Hours was really generous, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kais, for highlighting that. All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the consensus items C through K. Motion, please. Mr. Bailey and Ms. Kais, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much.
We want to acknowledge the retirements we have this evening that the board has approved under personnel items. So we want to thank Linda Yankowski, who has served as a school nurse in our private parochial setting with us for 22 years, more than 22 years. She will be retiring and wish her well and thank her for her years of service. Additionally, Kathy Kohler and Mary Jean Carlson have worked in our school nutrition program both for 15 years. Kathy as a cook and Mary Jean as a food service helper. And again, we thank them for their years of service and wish them well in retirement.
Thank you very much. The board thanks them for their service, and thank you for highlighting that, Ms. Parado. Moving on, action items. Motion to approve the 2021 internal audit report. Motion, please. Mr. Long, Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve policies 1511, 5681, 5720, 6120, 6121, 7550, 7553, 8130, 8220. Motion, please. Mr. Moscato, Ms. Kais, questions or comments?
Just again to reiterate, there's quite a few there obviously, so if you read one and you see something you don't understand or needs to be clarified, just let either Mr. Daly know or Jeff so we can get back to it. All right, so like I say, some of these are total rewrites, so they need to be reviewed. And again, nothing is written in stone. We can always go back and take a look at it if there's something we missed. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moscato. All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to acknowledge board candidates in election ballot placement. Motion, please. Mr. Long, Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Well, last week was Staff Appreciation Week. Celebrated our tremendous staff and their commitment to the Spartan way that has made our school year possible. Their dedication to our students and community is outstanding. Budget reminder on Tuesday, May 18th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the District Administration Building in this room at 3 Spartan Way, we will have the budget vote. The main parking lot out front will be just for voters that day, so there'll be plenty of parking for those that come, and we've adopted a spending plan for 21-22 at our April 20th meeting of $117,882,045. Proposed tax levy is 2.04%, which is lower than the 2020-21 tax levy increase of 2.38. And then we got some good news today out of our business office. Initial assessment rolls and equalization rates from the town of Gates and Charlie were received. Based on a townwide reassessment, initial tax rates for both Gates and Charlie are dropping to below to the low to mid $24 per thousand range versus the $25.40 per thousand that was shared in our budget brochure, so it's lowered. Please note that final tax rates will be established in August based on the final tax rolls. All in all, this is good news for taxpayers in our community. And a reminder that we have some propositions on that day as well for purchasing buses, using money out of the tech reserve, and establishing a new cap project reserve. We're excited to be able to host out back here under a tent on Friday, May 21st, the 8th grade dance from 7 to 9. Socially distanced and spaced out, but meeting all the protocols to allow the kids to have a little fun that night. And then the following evening, There'll be the senior prom or ball as well. Our communities come together to put on some neat activities for the kids to enjoy that night. So we're excited for them to have that again, meeting all the requirements. And graduation will be on June 23rd in Spartan Stadium. The way it's written now for how many people we can have, we're having 4 ceremonies. We've been told that there's a chance at the beginning of June they may loosen that more for outdoor ceremonies. So if it is, we would make them a little bigger and have 1 or 2 less if possible, so that we can celebrate our senior class. And lastly, I've got an update for the fall. We will be back 5 days a week in September. We're currently working on alternate schedules that would allow us to open if even still in a red zone. It is a lot of work to cohort middle school and high school correctly, not just to say we're doing it, but to actually do it in order to provide a safe environment. We will make it happen, and I reiterate that we will be back in September, and I guarantee it. Our team is dedicated to that. They've been meeting on doing that, and we want our kids back, all UPK 12, in the fall. And we will do whatever we can to make that happen. So that is my report, sir. Yes.
Just a question, did you get, is the equalization rate 100% in both towns now?
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
yeah.
Right.
Skyline did a reassessment.
So I've heard.
Any other questions, comments? That's it? Okay, moving on. Before I close the meeting in motion for an adjournment, Superintendent Daly did mention that we're going to have an 8th grade ball, or 8th grade dance and a senior ball. I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody in the district for all that they do. When we're in a normal operating basis, these dances and balls are something that the staff really leans into to make happen. There's a lot of planning, a lot of love and care that goes into that for the kids. And I know that since they probably started planning this, rules have changed at least 7 times. So to see that the staff has stuck with it to try to make this happen for the kids really says a lot for our people. And thank you very much. With that, motion to adjourn. Ms. Kais? Ms. Coffey? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. We are adjourned for this evening.